Coach Brown, give us a quick breakdown of what you think of your cornerbacks so far.
Well, we're a work in progress. You know, every day we're just trying to add on, trying to get the chemistry right, trying to understand the scheme, technique. And so it's just a lot of, hey, can we put some building blocks together and eventually build this pyramid?
Kenneth Major, Dedrick Mackey, the top two corners.
You know, right now they're competing and doing a good job, but right now we're not ready to say anybody's nailed anything down. I mean, that's a good thing about it is we've got some jobs open and we're looking for somebody to come and take some jobs, and that's where all these evaluation periods come in. Particularly tomorrow morning, we're going to scrimmage some, and those will be looked at under a microscope.
Well, your cornerbacks, at least in the first week and a half of camp, seemed to step up and made some plays from an interception standpoint. I mean, is that experience with maybe a couple of those corners that been around the system a little bit longer?
Well, Kenneth Majors, of course, got his fair share of playing time last year. He was productive. I want to say, did he have 3 interceptions last year? I think that's what I read or heard.
Yeah.
So he's been on the field and done it, but it's all about just trying to get better. So, you know what? Every day at the end of the day, maybe you make some plays, you give up some, but you got to go back and dissect it and see what you did right or wrong. Maybe even you made an interception, but you really didn't use the right technique or weren't in the right scheme. So you really have got to do a post-mortem on it and say, hey, you know what? Even though I had some success on this play, what could I do better? What should I do better?
Simeon Smiley has gone from safety to cornerback. It looks like he's playing the nickel. Talk about him a little bit.
Simeon's got experience from last year too, been on the field, knows what he's doing. He's a smart kid, and that's one of the keys. I mean, you're always looking for players is how fast can you think while you're moving, and he can think pretty fast, and that is a huge key. I mean, to play, you got to be able to have some athleticism. You got to have a certain amount of weight, height, speed, ability, etc. But then the thing that separates guys is how fast can you think while you're moving. He can think fairly fast.
Has Cam Allen surprised you?
He's what we thought he'd be. He's a young kid coming in, trying to learn the system, trying to get better. So he's making his share of mistakes. I mean, he's a true freshman, and it's like that for freshmen. They're going to have up and down days. Some days they're going to be good on top of the world, and then the next day they can say, hey, you know what, I lost my homework, my roommate ran away with my girlfriend, and the dog bit me. It's just a bad day. So he's coming along. He's just like any other true freshman.
Are those real stories, or are you just kind of using those as examples?
Those are probably real at one time.
Hey, what do you look for profile-wise from your cornerbacks? Do you like big physical corners, or do you prefer guys who are speed and you don't really care about their size?
Well, the number one thing is you've got to be able to have the movement skills to play. That means you got to be able to stay on top of deep routes. You got to be fluid enough to move your body. And so if you can do that, you can play regardless of size. Now, preferably, sure, you'd like to get the bigger guy because it's a big man's game. But if you get a big body and he looks pretty, but then he walks out there and the second the ball snapped, he can't stay on top of a route and he can't turn his hips, he's Frankenstein stiff, that ain't going to cut it. So size won't be as big of an issue as top end speed and fluidity.
Okay.
This is a transition for you from Auburn to Purdue. You've been around a long time coaching and you've made a lot of moves, but what's been the best part of the transition for you?
Without a doubt, working under head coach Jeff Brom. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. I would not come here if it wasn't for Jeff Brom. I knew him from way back when he was one of the quarterbacks at the Chargers when I was there. So I got to know him. I saw up close and personal what he could do in a locker room with his peers when he was a quarterback, and I knew, from watching from afar what he did with this team. I remember I got the chance to watch the Ohio State game at home one night, and I was so fired up for Jeff, and I just knew this is a program that's on the upbeat, and it's really because of him. So the reason I'm fired up to be here is Jeff Brom.
I can't let you go without asking you for one Fred Akers era story. You actually coached here.
I did.
Under Fred Akers, who was here from '87 to 1990.
I did.
You actually saw Mollenkopf get built or open.
Yes.
Just for fun of it. Anything you remember about?
Well, I could tell you some, but I couldn't because then I'd be out of a job right now.
All right.
But I could tell you some other fond memories from that time. I do remember when they built the indoor. I don't think we ever actually went in it, but I remember when they built it, looking and saying, it looks nice, but we actually practice outdoors. I remember back in those days, we were sporting the shorts that were cut up to like here. This is like in way back in the day. Now trends are starting to come back. We are starting to get shorter. For a while, everybody was basketball down past your knees. So I remember our group pictures. We all stand there with these square hats, and everybody's shorts are way, way, way up there. I remember that. You know, the things I remember about it, Fred had a tremendous staff. Fred did a great job. He was an outstanding motivational speaker. I mean, in fact, I want to say after he got done coaching, he went around the country and was a motivational speaker. And so Fred did an outstanding job with our players. He recruited very well. We had some top-notch players. You know, to this day, some of these guys I coached, I still talk to Steve Jackson on a regular basis. He's now the secondary coach at the New York Jets. He's had an outstanding career. And actually, not only did I coach Steve here at Purdue, Steve Jackson I'm talking about, I coached him in the Titans at the NFL. And Steve he had a terrific sense of humor, very, very smart, tough. He had everything that you want. He was just a competitor, right? And I remember when I had him at the Titans, he was our nickel, starting nickel. And when we would get rookies, and we would go our walkthroughs, we'd get rookies in, right? And so I'd, hey, first nickel, get out there, run this scheme. So we would call, say, a 4-man rush coverage. Steve lined up in the nickel spot, and on the snap, he'd rush. And it wasn't supposed to. He would just do that, and the rookies go, okay, that's what that is. I'm supposed to rush, right? And so they'd get in there, they'd rush, and then Jeff Fisher would go berserk. Yeah, get in the playbook. What the? And then Steve would just sit there and laugh his ass off. You know, he would just mess with people. But he was great. The coaching staff, I was such a fortunate part to be part of this coaching staff. So my best friend was the D-line coach, Bill Kohler, who's still coaching right now. Outstanding coach forever. Yeah. He's the D-line coach for the Denver Broncos. So Bill is the one who got me up here with Purdue. And so my favorite story involving Fred Akers and Purdue would be, I'm at the University of Wyoming at the time. Bill calls up, says, we've got a secondary job. You need to come in and look at this hard, blah, blah, blah. So Fred calls me up, I come in. So the night before, instead of staying in a hotel, I go stay at Bill's house. And we're sitting there just shooting the breeze, and he goes, hey, you know, Fred is a great guy. He said, but he goes, he might not like your hair. My hair was a little bit longer at that time. Now, I'm not saying it was long, but it was long, I guess, evidently for maybe Coach Akers. So it's nighttime. Like, well, there's no barber open. Bill says, I got it, no worry. He goes in the door, gets some scissors, went around behind me. So Bill Kohler cut my hair with big old scissors out of his kitchen door. Said, all right, you're looking good, man, for your interview. So that's my favorite Purdue story with Fred Akers.